Hey everyone, it's Neflarian, and today I'm going to be looking at some more tips for new players. Specifically, what is a raid and what is Trials or Gauntlet? What rewards do those modes offer? Is one better to farm than the other? How do you upgrade gear from there? And most importantly, how do you pick the right difficulty? Thank you Congregate for sponsoring this video, because if you're a new player, this information is something you cannot afford to miss, and it will make your grinding so much easier. So let's get right in here and get started with what even are these modes. Raids are the primary source of materials and early gear for free-to-play players. They're unlocked in Tier 4 and use raid shards to run. Every single raid you run, regardless of the difficulty, will use up a single raid shard, so don't be afraid to experiment with higher difficulties. Each difficulty will unlock new gear to run. In the first raid, it's all the same, but starting in the second raid, you get set items in the hard difficulty, and starting in the fourth raid, you can get mythic items in the heroic difficulty. The raids themselves are all themed different and have different familiars and quality of gear in them. You will likely end up running all of them hundreds, if not thousands of times. The huge benefit of raids in the early game is that you can use friends. Once you have some powerful friends, they can likely carry you through an entire raid, so don't hesitate to hop into World Chat and see what everyone is up to. Trials is another game mode that will net you a ton of gear. Trials puts you in a dungeon that you can only bring familiars into, where you're going to fight other random familiars from throughout the entire game. You can get legendary, set, and even mythic gear from here. There's a mini-boss and a boss that can both drop these items. This event pops up every other week and is available for the entire week, where you're going to get points towards weekly rewards that are based on the difficulty that you run. On the week that there's no Trials event, it's replaced by a Gauntlet event. This is really similar to Trials, however you have one giant battle that lasts for 20 waves to get through instead of multiple battles within a dungeon. You're going to face NPCs here that are not found anywhere else, and even the possibility for a copy of some of the more legendary players from the game, such as SSS-1. In Wave 10 you have a mini-boss that can drop legendary set and mythic items, as well as a main boss at Wave 20 that can do the same. As with Trials, you get points for winning a Gauntlet based on the difficulty that you run, which puts you in the running for weekly rewards. The three modes that I mentioned are similar in that they can drop great gear, but they have very specific differences. Raids use raid shards to run and have normal, hard, or heroic difficulties, which determine what drops are available. Trials and Gauntlet both use tokens, which can be used 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 at a time. I would suggest that you use 5 unless you are running something like an Ultra Gore, which gives you crazy amounts of item find. The cap for item find is 3,500, and you can use an item find calculator like the one found in the description of this video to find out if you're there. The amount of tokens you use should get you as close to 3,500 as possible without going over. That's important to remember, but even more important is that unless you're running crazy boosts like an Ultra Gore, that's irrelevant. Just run 5 tokens at a time. Trials and Gauntlet also give weekly rewards for both points earned and rank compared to other players, which raids do not do. These rewards vary by week, but can include things like free runes, augments, and even pets. You get more points by running higher difficulties, and the game separates the difficulties by tier so that you have a rough idea of what you'll be facing. Each of the modes offer these main rewards: legendary, set, and mythic drops. As I mentioned, in raids, legendary drops from all difficulties, sets from hard and heroic, and then mythic only from heroic. Trials and Gauntlet separate by difficulty as well, but it's a little bit less straightforward. You're going to get drops from the tier the difficulty says that you're running, so you can easily farm gear from lower tiers if you need to. If the difficulty is marked yellow, you can get legendary gear. If it's marked blue, you can get set and mythic gear as well. Then of course, Trials and Gauntlet have those weekly rewards, which gives you tons of great items, but also gives you much needed materials like mount guts and rune fragments. Do not sleep on these rewards, they're actually my main source of income for those materials. Once you're running the content, you're going to get lots of gear, so how should you actually upgrade it? The answer is super simple. It depends. If you're under tier 8 or so, just upgrade the epic gear that you find and scrap everything else. You can maybe upgrade one piece of legendary gear to get yourself over that hump, but don't go all in on legendaries, it's just overkill. As an example, in Tier 4, I went all in on legendaries and just skipped Tier 5 because my gear was over upgraded. That sounds nice, but I spent more time in Tier 4 than I would have in Tier 4 and 5 combined had I just done epics. If you want to learn more about that, check out this other video that's popping up in the corner of your screen. Once you start needing to use legendaries, upgrade one piece at a time. Make sure to upgrade it fully before moving on to a second piece. The reason for that is the power you get per material spent is higher on the last few upgrades than the first few. Also, why spend more materials than you have to get enough stats to get through the tier? Work smarter, not harder, right? When you start needing sets, upgrade them once you have 2 or 3 pieces of the set. If you only have one, it's effectively a legendary that takes 20% more materials to level up. I would even argue that for a lot of sets, 2 pieces isn't enough to bother with. The 3-piece bonus and 4-piece bonus are where the majority of the power in a set lies, so aim for there. Each upgrade takes more materials than a legendary, so make sure you're ready to invest in that before starting. Finally, we get to mythics. For the most part, you can just totally avoid upgrading them, but if you do want to use one, remember it takes way more materials to fully upgrade a mythic than a legendary. Legendaries take 500 materials to upgrade, sets take 600, and mythics take 700. Be ready for that investment. If you aren't going to use a mythic, then upgrade it one time before melting so you'll get more materials back overall that way. Once you upgrade the second time, you start losing materials. So that's a lot, right? And it all comes down to choosing the right difficulty to run. That's the very first step, running the content. How do you even choose which to run? For raids, it's easy. Run the highest difficulty you can. Ask for friends in World Chat or on the Bitverse Discord to have those powerful teammates that will carry you in game. You can even use your guild members. One endgame player can carry you in raids by themselves for a majority of the game. You have no downsides to running higher difficulties, so do not handicap yourself. Trials and Gauntlet don't let you use players though, only your own familiars. The way to run the highest difficulty here is to hop over to my Bit Heroes playlist and watch the familiars videos. They're broken up by tiers so you can see exactly what familiars you can make, and I tell you which ones are the best and which ones aren't even worth looking at. Once you assemble a good team, then just slowly increase the difficulty until you have to start using potions, and then back it down a few levels so that you can get through without potions on auto. That will let you farm the content and get the best gear you possibly can while also getting the top weekly rewards. Raids are the primary source of your materials as a free-to-play player, and pushing Trials or Gauntlet can be a huge boon to your inventory as well. The gear that you get is going to get you through the game as you upgrade it. Which gear do you want to go for once you start using sets will entirely depend on your build, so take each tier, look at the loot tables, and see what fits your needs best. If you're in a tier where everyone says epics only but you're struggling, don't be afraid to use a legendary. Kind of that pro tip, a max legendary is roughly equal to that max epic of the next tier for most of the game regarding just pure stat points, so an investment in legendary can help you in the next tier as well. As always, if you like this video and want more, make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and become a channel member. If you dislike it, hit the dislike button too, but tell me why so I can make these better for you. You can also join my Discord, linked on my profile, to get up-to-date news and information on my videos, streams, and various other games. Until next time, good luck on your grind, and I'll see you in the next video.